G'day legends, it's Mark here from North Oz, and in today's video we're going to be reviewing the San Hima Jervis Pro version 2. It's going to be a good one. Let's get stuck into it. Guys, it has not stopped raining since I've gotten to camp, and this has provided the perfect testing ground for my new rooftop tent. And we're going to be talking about some of the features of the rooftop tent, some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like. So it's going to be a really good one. It's going to be pretty informative as well. So I hope you get a lot from this one. Let's get stuck into it. It's going to be good. So as always, guys, I'm really transparent when it comes to products that I'm reviewing and whether or not I paid for them with my own money or if they were given to me as a review item. Now, this product here has been given to me as a review item from Vic Off-Road. So they sent it out to me and wanted my thoughts and opinions on it and to make an honest review. So I am reviewing it from the perspective of if I paid for it with my own money, because if you guys have followed the build on any of my vehicles in the past, I pay for my vehicles. I pay for most 99% of the accessories that I have on there, and I don't accept any money from any companies. If they want to provide a product to me to review, I'm more than happy to do that, but I do not accept any money from them to do so. With that being said, I will be putting the link to this product in the description. So if after you have seen the review, this is something that you want to purchase, you can go ahead and do so by clicking that link and purchasing it there, and it does support the channel. However, I do recommend you watch the full review first and fully understand all of the features, some of the downfalls as well, and also some of the good things about this product to see whether or not this is something that you want to purchase with your own money. So the very first thing we're going to talk about, guys, is the price. The recommended retail price of one of these is $3,300. Now, you can get discounts if you have a look on Vic Off-Road on their Instagram. There's always discount days that they have, so you keep an eye out on that, and they pretty heavily discount a lot of their items, so make sure you go ahead and check it out. Now, the retail price of this, like I said, is $3,300, and it's the San Hima Jervis Pro version 2. So there was a first version, this is the second one. Now, this as well, something important about this is that it is made in China, like a lot of the other rooftop tents, around the same sort of price. Why I specifically wanted this one and not, say, one from King's, for example, is I preferred the look of this one. The build quality looked a lot better on the pictures and has turned out to be true. And the equipment and the features that you get is a lot better than a lot of the other cheaper ones. And when you look at it, it really wasn't that much cheaper than, say, some of the other offerings from like King's and also some of the other companies as well that I did a little bit of research into before asking Vic Off-Road to send me this rooftop tent. So the retail price isn't too steep for the features that we're getting, and we're going to get into that now. So with the pricing out of the way, let's talk about how easy it is to set up the rooftop tent. Now, this is my first rooftop tent I have ever owned. I have always used swags, and the very first time that I set this up fully was actually last night in the dark at 7 o'clock at night. So not particularly smart, but unfortunately it couldn't be avoided due to the time that I got into camp. So I was setting it up for the first time in the dark, and I did set it up at home earlier in the week, but unfortunately it started raining, so I only got to have a look at a couple little hacks that I could do to make setting it up a little bit easier, which I'll show you as well. But the setup for it isn't particularly hard, and I have picked up a few little tips and tricks like dragging the ladder all the way out to use it as some leverage to get the unfolding happening. So it's things like that that I'm picking up as I'm going. But in terms of ease of setup, it is really easy to set up. One of the things, and this is the main hack that I'm going to show you guys, you'll see that I have these tie down little ropes here. Now, the reason why I have them here instead of these like stirrups here or bows, whatever they're called, the reason why I'm using these is because it is just too hard for me to get up on top of the canopy to try to get those stirrups underneath the rooftop tent, because this canopy is up really, really high. So for me, it made sense to just grab some tie downs, put it on the hooks, and that then holds out that window flap. So I've got some ventilation in there. Now, unfortunately, you can see that it doesn't pull it out as far as the stirrups would, so it's not going to be a huge amount of ventilation coming through, but it's still enough. However, if we come around to this side, you can see that because I can grab it onto the roof rack and also my awning, I've got quite a lot of ventilation coming out here. I didn't get any rain in through those windows last night, but I did get some rain in through somewhere else, which we're going to talk about in a second. So I've just flipped the camera around now, and just to give you a quick explanation of how it sets up, and it's pretty straightforward. You pretty much just undo the locks on the outside of the shell. The shell flips up, and then you grab the ladder, which then pulls this section down. So when you go to close it all up, it basically closes that way down, and then the shell comes down to protect the canvas and that as well. So nothing too crazy. And guys, there are people out there who have done a lot more detailed reviews of how to set it all up. There are locks on the Rooftop tent as well, which makes it nice and secure too. And I do like the fact that the clips on them are very heavy duty, so when you do go to shut that shell, it does really have a nice, good, tight seal. So that's something that I do appreciate about this, but it's nothing too difficult to set up, guys. In terms of features on the outside, we can talk about that now. So the setup for it is not difficult at all, and I reckon I can get this down to about 3 minutes in the future. So pretty quick setup. So a couple of features on the outside here that you can see is that there's this flap here, and that kind of helps protect these like hinge spots here. So I did notice from the inside looking out, I can see out of the tent, so there's some air holes there kind of. So this flap here just helps protect that from the elements. So same thing on the other side as well, so it's mirrored. On the front here, we've got some different pouches. So as you can see, this is a bit dirty because I've been using this for my thongs. And also on this side here, it's a bit more of a protected pouch, which I haven't had to use just yet. So yeah, I guess if you have shoes or anything else that you don't want to get wet, chuck them in here. Now, talking about this ladder really quick, guys, is this ladder is very, I wouldn't say sharp, but I'll say that the corners are not particularly round. I would have much preferred a more rounded step on these on this ladder, because it does absolutely kill your feet when you're walking up this. So I always have to have my thongs on or some shoes on when I'm going up here, and then I kick my thongs off into the bag. So just so you guys know, that ladder is quite sharp as you are walking your way up it, but it is super solid, so I have no issues with walking up that myself. So just so you guys are aware that that ladder is a little bit on the sharp side. Underneath this folding out part, you can also, I guess, attach a rope to this and tie it down if it's really windy and you're a bit worried about this folding up and closing, because that can happen, I guess, especially if you're on the beach or something like that where there is a lot of wind. So just keep that in mind, that you can use these sections here to pull it down and to tie it down. Now, the last thing regarding the external features is the fact that you can see that it does have a hard shell on it, which is a big reason why I like this one. I really do not like those canvas tops on those rooftop tents. I really do like the fact that this is a hard shell. So that is a big win in my book, and it has made a big difference when off-roading, because I've gone through a couple of low-lying branches already and it hasn't even scratched that. But on a canvas bag, it might not fare as well as that nice sturdy hard shell. One last thing regarding the exterior of that shell, you can see that there are kind of like roof rack slots, so you can put a channel nut in there, so you can put an awning or anything else, I guess, I don't know, whatever is going to be useful for you on that side there. You can put handles and other things on that side there too, just so you guys know that that is an option too. So now, as we work our way up the ladder and into the rooftop tent, I did pick up a couple of things like, grab onto the side of the ladder instead of the rungs, because it makes your hands dirty getting into the tent. Now you can see we've got a little bit of water on this entry here. So I've got this nice big canvas spot here, a little canvas sheet that goes over the front of the entry, so you don't get any additional water into the interior section. However, a couple of things to note is that this entry here, I have put stirrups on, or whatever you want to call them, bows on, to keep this entry open, because it does actually need that amount of tension. But I have noticed that a little bit of water sitting on the top, so I'll probably need to tighten something down, or it's definitely something for me to keep an eye on, because this is just an initial review, so I will be keeping an eye on that. I'll tighten a few things down and see if I can fix that for the future, and I'll get back to you guys in a long-term review of this. And that's not the only issue that I had with water last night, which I'm going to explain to you guys shortly too. So this entry here, guys, you can see that there is no actual zip for the canvas, which I find a little bit strange, but it doesn't seem to let any water in. The zip does go on the side, so there's a zip here, and there is a zip over on this side too. So, but it doesn't run all the way down the bottom here, which is a little bit strange to me. But I kind of think that maybe if there's a big strong wind and rain, I mean, it's just a bit of Velcro holding that on there, and it could open up, but I don't see that as a big issue. We had a lot of rain last night, and no water got in through the front here. So that's just something to keep in mind, and something that I will be watching, especially as I go camping on the beach and if there's any rain on the beach as well. So like I said, a little bit of water holding up the top there, so keep that in mind. Now as we work our way into the interior, I've got these zips here holding that up, so you just got to pull those zips up, and the same on this side, and that's going to allow me now to get into the interior here. So I'm going to tell you guys a quick story about last night and why I've got this pole digging into my mattress going up to the roof. Now, one of the things that I found out last night, which, you know, if I maybe read a few reviews and had a bit more of a think, this moon roof thing here that you can unzip and get a good look to the outside world, it leaks. So what you have to do is you have to set up this pole, not like this, obviously, because this was me setting it up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but you have to set up this pole. So that's something to keep in mind, is that I did need to have the, that rod going from horizontal with that little bit poking at this section here. Otherwise, water sits on the roof and it leaks in through the zipper. So keep that in mind, guys. That is something that's kind of very important for you to understand. Now, I just got the post here because that was just my fix from last night. I wanted to show you guys exactly how it was looking. Now, in terms of the mattress, it's actually pretty cool how it sits. And sorry, guys, there is no easy way to review a rooftop tent. It's just a small space. But down in here, and again, I apologize for the shoddy camera work, but underneath here is like these, it's a spring loaded sort of like plastic fibers, really. So I'll see if I can get that on camera for you guys. So it's like spring loaded little plastic fibers, and what that does, it creates a little bit of an air barrier underneath your mattress. So that mattress is about 40 mil thick, and I don't find it's enough for me. I'm gonna have to get a little mattress topper on there. So just so you guys are aware that this mattress for me was just a little bit too thin. I reckon if it was about another 20 mil thicker, it would have been perfect, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to get something like a mattress topper. Not a big deal. I did sleep last night, and it's not the most uncomfortable sleep I've ever had, but you know, for me, I do like a little bit more comfort, so we'll be getting a little bit of a thicker, little bit of mattress topper or something. Not that big of a deal, something that's not too thick so it can still all close up. Now, as we work our way to the back here, there is a pretty cool little storage spot there where I ended up putting my water bottle, chucked my phone in there, and a couple of little bits and pieces as well, which is super handy. Now, there is a light up there too, which I will be putting on for you guys in a second. So I'll run down and I'll grab a portable power bank, and I'll chuck that in there, and we'll see how that light looks, which will be pretty awesome. But in here, guys, it's pretty straightforward. You got your windows. So when you set it up, you fold it all out and you come over here to the gas struts. And what you do is you put a little, it's like a little stopper. It's like a plastic little stopper that you just clip on there. So you have to remember to remove those. So those come off, and then it can then close down again. Okay, and then obviously every single time I'm going to be setting up this pole as well to make sure that it I don't get any water in here again, because that was probably a mistake on my part. Nothing to do with the actual rooftop tent itself, but you know, it is a little bit frustrating that, you know, you have to set that up every single time. I would have thought that with everything all nice and tight and tension, that, you know, the water would just run off it, but unfortunately it does seep in through the zipper there, which is something I was a little bit disappointed about. And I am being completely honest with you guys on this review, as I said earlier in the video. So guys, let's set up that that light, and we'll see how that looks. And you can see that that little wall at the back there, the little organization wall, was pretty handy. I do like the fact that it's got that nice cross stitching at the back there too, so it gives it a nice warm feeling. And guys, the amount of room in here, it doesn't come across on camera, but guys, it is absolutely huge. You can sit down here, and let me lie down. I'm about, what, 180 centimeters. I'm gonna lie down, and I've got so much room here. It is absolutely crazy. Let me get rid of this so you can see the end of the mattress. So that's the end of the mattress there. So I've got plenty of headroom here. So yeah, so if you're around 6 foot, something like that, you'll have plenty of room in here. If you're a little bit over 6 foot, like maybe 6'1" above, 6'2" above, then you might be running a little bit short on room. But just so you guys are aware, this is how I fit. So this is my head almost to the back, and then that's where I end there. So just so you guys are aware, that's how much room you have in here. And there's plenty of room here for 2 people. I wouldn't fit any more than 2 people. Maybe if you have 2 and a toddler and a baby or something like that, then that might be okay. But yeah, 2 people would be the max for this rooftop tent. One of the things that I've been struggling a little bit with is just the height to get out of this this opening, because it is on an angle. So it is, especially first thing in the morning when everything's a little bit, you know, everything's not as relaxed as you would be later on in the day. Trying to get out of here in the morning is a little bit of a flexibility test. So just keep that in mind as well as you guys are, you know, going about your purchases and also going about your thinking. But you know, it is pretty easy to get out of there. I'm just being a bit of a sook, but it is something that I did notice this morning when I woke up. So we're going to give this light bar a go. I've got my power bank here and I have not set this up yet. So this is the first time I'm going to be setting up the light bar. So let's give it a go. Pretty dark in here at the moment, so we'll see how much extra light it gives us. Ooh, nice long cable there. You could probably run that down to your canopy as well. That is, yeah, that's a significant cable. But for this one, I'm just going to plug it in here. And turn it on here. Tuck that in there. And, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, it's touch. Oh, that's very fancy. Oh, yeah. And you got all your different lights. So you got white light, we got orange light, and then we got mixed. Not quite sure why you would want the mixed on there, but anyway, someone smarter than me can tell me that one. But yeah, so there you go. Oh, the white's quite nice. Look at that. Well, that definitely brightens things up in here a lot. Well, guys, that concludes the interior walk around of the rooftop tent. And guys, like I said, you know, I'm out here camping. You know, this is what it looks like. I haven't made anything look nice and neat, and these are my raw opinions on the rooftop tent. So I want to show you guys why, and this is a showing thing, I'm going to show you guys why I purchased this rooftop tent, exactly why this model and not their other models or another brand's model. And yeah, and then I'll finish up with my concluding thoughts on whether or not I think that this rooftop tent is worth the money. Let's do it. So a couple of things that I wanted to mention, but I couldn't quite demonstrate it in the campsite that I was at. So we're at home now and everything's all drying off from my very wet camp that I went to. Now, the reason why I like this rooftop tent compared to the Clamshell is because it sits out to the side. So it sits out over the driver's side for me on this one. So that's what I like, because I can access still my canopy. That door can still open, so it still comes out far enough. I checked all the dimensions before I bought it. So that canopy can still open up, even though it's not all the way, it can still open up and I can still get things out from there that I need to get, even with the rooftop tent open. So that's not a negative compared to the other rooftop tent that I was looking at, which was a Clamshell. Now the Clamshell opens up out like this, so it's a lot more longer lengthways, but that was going to come 400 mil over here, which I didn't like. For one, it's not a good look. So I do prefer the look of everything being over the top of the canopy. You guys know who, you know, watch a channel and saw me and Pete sit down together and go through all the design for the canopy as well. You guys know that I and Pete as well, we're sticklers when it comes to things sticking to, you know, together in line, being flush. So this was just so easy to sit on the canopy and it didn't have any overhang. So when this thing is packed away, it actually looks really, really neat and tidy. So that's one thing that we like, is that it sits nice, right and flush over the canopy, and it's not taking up any roof rack space, which I'm using for things like max tracks, solar panels, and also a swag as well. And swag's my mates. If they want to join me, I can chuck their swag on the roof as well. So if you come around to the side here, you'll see that we have offset, and I showed you guys this in the canopy build video, but we have offset the rooftop tent so it's a little bit more that way, so it can still fold out this way. So you do need to leave a little bit of room. And I can also still have my 270-degree awning attached to the canopy, not attached to here on these little rails here, because that wouldn't work. Obviously you won't be able to have your awning out while your tent is out, because it's just going to tilt down, so it doesn't make any sense. So we wanted to make sure that we had the 270-degree awning attached to the roof rack on the canopy, and we can also use it while we have the rooftop tent out as well. And I mean, guys, the result is just unreal. So That's why I like this tent in particular, and this is why I specifically asked for this tent from Vic Off-Road, because I knew that this one's going to fit best with the build and the look of the build as well, because it is a little bit about the look too, guys. If you don't like the look of it and your car's ugly, you're not going to want to drive it around. That's my opinion anyway. So I do like it for that, and I like the fact that it folds out as opposed to the clamshell. Now, the clamshell may be a little bit better when it comes to water ingress, so I can't comment on that, but I did notice that the water ingress on this can be, if it's raining a lot, it can be quite bad because you've got water coming down up through the top there, which is where that kind of moonroof sort of little push thing moves water away from. So if you're trying to get in through here, you can often have quite a bit of water coming in because of the way it's angled. So you see, my issue isn't with the opening here. My issue is with how this angles down like that, and it just funnels straight down. If you open up this to try to get into it while it's raining, it kind of funnels straight down into here, right, onto the mattress. So that's something that I've been trying to figure out. Maybe I haven't tightened a few things properly. This is, guys, my honest initial review. And that's just one of the things that I noticed, that when it's raining really hard, that water comes down through the top, and although it doesn't enter in here, but when you want to get into your cabin, it does let water in, and it does wet the bottom here and all your bedding. So that's just something that I'm keeping an eye on. I did tighten one of the flies up there. That wasn't tightened before because it's too high up for me to get. So that was one of the things I did tighten. So it does look a lot better now, as you can tell. But yeah, hopefully that has fixed a little bit of the water issue that I have, and hopefully it's not going to sit on top of and get on the canvas as much. Now, one of the things that I do want to talk about, guys, before we finish is the fact that the build quality on this is exceptional. So although, yes, I'm having a couple issues with trying to figure out the water and things like that at the moment, that's, you know, that's probably user error on my part more than anything. So these are things for you to keep an eye on, because for example, that fly, that strap there, it wasn't attached to the fly when you first get it, and because I was doing this at night, I didn't see that. So that's probably my fault as well. So what I do recommend you guys do is to set this up when it's off your car first, so you can attach all the straps and everything that you need to have a practice go of taking it in and out, and that way it will help you guys when you get to camp. Don't do what I did, which was a little bit stupid. So what I recommend you guys do is, yeah, make sure you do a dummy run at home. But yeah, guys, going on to the build quality really quick, I had all this equipment, the awning as well as the rooftop tent, put on at the fabricators while we were doing the canopy. And as we were setting everything out and having a look at how everything fits, they were so impressed with the build quality of this. And yeah, it weighs a bit. It weighs around 80 kilos. But man, it is an absolute unit. And I have climbed on top of this thing. I have stood on the rooftop tent cover, so that thing can take a flogging. I've sat on it, I've stood on it, I've dragged branches across it when I've been doing some off-roading, so it can hold up 100% to a good beating. So quality wise, my issue is definitely not with how well this thing is made, because it has surprised me how well this thing is put together. Even the canvas on it is great. I will point out just two small issues that I have at the moment. One is just that over here, and I'm going to show you exactly where it is. Over here there is a tiny, I don't even know if you guys can see it, but there is a tiny little scratch in the canvas here, and I can see through that scratch out into a little bit of light. However, that has not let in any water at all. So that was one thing, and there was a slight dent on the outside cover of the rooftop tent. So that was something I did notice, because this thing is rock solid. So if you dent anything on there, or something hits it, or it gets damaged in transport, you're probably going to know about it. But listen, guys, on the scale, nothing serious. It's not a problem at all. And yeah, and this thing so far, I have been impressed with the quality of it. I just need to tinker with it a little bit, guys. That's the initial review. That's what it's all about. Got to tinker with it a little bit and figure out all the little tips and tricks to make this thing absolutely perfect, because there is always a way to make these things perfect, and nothing that I have is completely waterproof. Nothing works the first time. Even my swag I've been using for 3 years, it lets in water. even when it rains, you know, so it gathers down the bottom and it slowly seeps in. So nothing is completely 100% waterproof. So just figuring out a few little tips and tricks at the moment to try to, yeah, hopefully improve my experience of it. But guys, I have been impressed with the San Hima product so far. Went away camping with it, and yeah, I've been really impressed with the awning especially. But yeah, the Rooftop 10, I need to do a few little tweaks and hacks on. That's pretty much my whole initial thoughts. There was one thing that I wanted to show you guys, that this is a little use for some of the under little racks that they have here. So just tying awnings and stuff too is pretty cool, so keep that in mind. But yeah guys, I have been impressed with it. This is my initial review, and I will be doing a long-term review of it in the coming months, so keep an eye out for that one too. But if you have any questions, make sure you chuck them in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So the final question remains, guys, is the San Hima Jervis Pro 2 worth the money? Now, I very rarely give out information like this straight away after getting the product and only using it a few times. The reason for that is my integrity matters a lot here on the channel. However, I can give you my opinion on it so far. I did get absolutely drenched when it was raining because I didn't have it set up properly. I fixed that, and now that's no longer an issue. It does let a little bit of water in through the front, which is something, again, I've tightened up a few straps. You can see that now. It looks a lot more straighter. It's a lot less, has a lot less crinkles on the side. So there's a few things that I have figured out as time has gone on, and these aren't big things. And do I recommend the Rooftop 10 based on my experience so far? The answer to that is yes. And the reason why, and this is important, it's not because I've spent a lot of time in the Rooftop 10, it's because I've spent a lot of time with it. Putting it on the canopy, setting it out, having a look at all the hardware. So this is one of the clamps that they supply, and I mean, look at the quality of that. Super impressed. I mean, that's just, to me, that's going above and beyond to be able to help us get our Rooftop 10 on our roof of our four-wheel drives. Like that to me, I have never seen this amount of hardware to help people mount their equipment. It's normally like, you know, a few bolts and stuff, and you know, they might give you a few, you know, channel nuts, and that's about it. But I've been super impressed with this, guys. Like, I mean, I'm almost out of words. They've given us, you know, every single bolt and washer and thread lock on it, and I mean, they've even got you know, these kind of turn, you know, nut things as well. Seeing how it handles as well, taking an absolute beating with me sitting on top of it, and you know, taking it off road and hitting it with sticks and all that sort of stuff. To me, the number one thing is it has to be able to cop an absolute hiding off-road. And if it can do that, then I can take a little bit of the extra things, like, you know, I can take a little bit of water here and there, or like a little bit of water. It was raining a lot and it still didn't really take on that much water. I can take the water coming down the front of it, you know, little things like that where I can excuse, purely because I have taken it off road and it can handle an absolute flogging. So for me at this point, it's really hard for me to give you a long-term perspective because I haven't had it for a very long time. However, I really do recommend you guys check this out. You can get this at discounted prices all the time. Check out Vic Off-Road's Instagram. They've got 15% off there all the time, extra 15% off all the time. Make sure you have a look at that. If you could use the link in my description, that would help support the channel as well, but you know, you don't have to if you don't want to. But my whole point, and this is kind of what I come back to, is it's very difficult for me to give a you know, whether or not you should buy it. From my experience so far, I have been impressed with the build quality. I have been impressed with the things that didn't go right on my camping trip. Now that I've fixed them, I won't have that issue again. So check back in with my long-term video over the next few months after, you know, once I finish my big camping season, which is over winter, and I will let you guys know as time goes on whether or not this is worth it long term. But for me right now, if you want to join in this kind of test, I've really enjoyed using the Rooftop 10. For me, the biggest thing is that it can take a absolute hiding, and also there is so much room in there. I mean, the difference between that and say swagging it is huge, because I'm able to actually sit up and almost like, you know, kneel. You can get pretty high up in there. You can at least change and you can do a few things in there. It's got storage pockets and all that sort of stuff that I need to try to get used to so that I can maximize my time in there. So if it's raining or anything like that, you go in there, you're all nice and dry. So yeah, a few of the things that I appreciate about having a Rooftop tent, because that thing is absolutely massive on in the interior, and that was something I was a little bit worried about. I didn't think there'd be much room in there compared to the clamshell, but I'm glad I went with this one over the clamshell. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's my summarizing little rant there. And if you have any questions, make sure you chuck them down in the comment section, because I always enjoy hearing from you guys, and I'm sure there's something that I've missed, and if there's something you want me to include in a future video, make sure you go ahead and let me know. But guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening to my rants. Thank you for thank you for liking the video and subscribing, doing all those good things, and I will see you guys very shortly in the next video. Take care.